Okay, very good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Scifinder training this morning. My name is Pamela. I'm based in Singapore. So today we have many new exciting features in Scifinder that I would like to share with you. Just do note that you need to have an account in order to access Scifinder, and you can go to the library website to find out how to access. Okay, so if you look at the homepage right now, this is where we would run the search, and we have actually integrated AI algorithm in the background so that your search will be interpreted by an AI. So you don't have to think too much about what keywords to use, what synonyms to use, where to put Boolean operators. You can just use natural language and the AI will figure out what should be searched, okay? Additionally, you will see that I have this Ask CAS Newton button, okay? So this is not available to you yet, but this is our latest AI enhancement, which we expect to be rolled out in early April. All right, so this is like a chat assistant within Scifinder. I will do a demonstration of this as well later on, so you can know what to expect when this feature is turned on for you. Currently, we have a small group of users who is already using it worldwide. I don't know who exactly. It could be one of you from Mahidol. But basically, we currently have a soft launch for a small group of users to test it out, and then we would roll it out sometime in early April. Okay, so let's take a look at how to run a search in Scifinder. So like I say, we use natural language. So I'm just going to type out, whatever that comes to my mind. And in this case, I want to look for information on the trimethylation of histone H3 and its role in gene silencing and cancer progression. So a very long topic. And then the AI would figure out what actually needs to be searched. So I'm going to go ahead and run the search. Okay, so depending on your search, you can get different types of answers, right? That's why you see all these different tabs at the top. For this topic, the AI has recognized that references would be the most relevant type of answers. So it brings us directly to the references answer set. And if we look at the query interpretation, this will actually tell you what has been searched, right? So if you are curious, or sometimes if you feel like the results don't really match your expectations, click on query interpretation and you can see what has been searched. So the AI has inserted Boolean operators for us at the right places. It has also removed some non-essential keywords like the word role. It didn't search this. It also didn't search the word progression. Okay. Below the query interpretation, you will see the option to search original query. Original query would mean that the search will be run without any AI interpretation, which usually means that every single keyword in our query will be searched. And as long as a reference matches one of the keywords, it will be pulled back as a hit. So you tend to get very large answer sets if you choose this option. So I would not usually recommend our users to do this because you get really large answer sets. So if you feel like the query interpretation is not up to standard, we can tweak the original query, modify it a little bit to see if it gives a better interpretation. Now, I just saw a question from the audience asking, so what databases does Scifinder search? Now, it's a very good question. So CAS, which is the builder of Scifinder, we create our own reference database substance database, reaction database, and supplier database. So everything that you searched, the databases are created and, more importantly, curated by CAS. And the information you will find, this is the document type, okay? We have patents as well, but this particular answer set doesn't have any patents. So basically, the references will be from journal literature and patent literature. And everything is searched within the CAS curated databases. So you don't have to worry about searching like websites or blogs, which it's it's not scientific. And there's a follow-up question on how frequently it's updated. It's updated every day. Okay, so yeah. Then the other thing that we have in terms of the AI features, it's the AI summary. Now, we don't see any summary now because the answers have been sorted to publication date. So do remember, if you'd like to take a look at the summary, change your sort option to relevance, okay? So once you do that, we will be able to, well, not we, but the AI will be able to summarize the top 20 most relevant answers from our answer set and then generate this summary. As you can see, it's happening over here. Okay, so it's not summarizing all 320 results, all right, just the top 20, because we want to summarize the most relevant results for our users so that it's the most useful, right? So over here, you can see the overview generated, and we would list down different key findings. Each of these key findings have their citations, right? So every key finding here is based on peer-reviewed literature. So again, this gives you more peace of mind if you want to make use of all these key findings, and you know exactly where to go to find further information if you're interested. Now, a little tip, if you find that the summary is quite short, you can try rerunning the search, and you may be able to then expand the summary a little bit. So I'll give this a little try because I have seen this for this query, it can give up to at least 3 key findings. So let's give it a try. Okay, so just a little tip to share. Whenever you see that it's a little bit short, just give it a rerun and see if it's able to pull back additional information like we can see here. Okay. Now, if you want to then refer to the citations, as I've mentioned, you hover over it, you see it pop up, you can then click on the title. Maybe I'll open it in a new tab so that I can still keep this page here. So this will bring us to the detailed reference view for this reference. Okay, it's not the full text. We don't provide full text in Scifinder, but we do index a lot of information from the full text. So this could be things like concepts, which would be keywords that describes the important topics mentioned in this paper. And because this reference is also covered by Medline, as you can see here, so we have the Medline mesh terms. So Medline is another database producer. They have their own way of curating information. So we have included their curation in Scifinder as well. Okay, so in Scifinder, you can search the CAS reference database as well as the Medline database. So I have another question coming up regarding Scopus. So what's the difference between Scifinder and Scopus? So I would say Scopus, it's a general reference database, right? So they have literature covering all different areas of science and maybe even social sciences, right? So their curation, their indexing, so they won't have a specific indexing developed for different subject areas. Whereas for Scifinder, definitely if you are doing social sciences, Scifinder is not relevant for you at all. I'll say it right from the get-go, okay? So Scifinder really excels in areas that's related to chemical, biochemical, medical, biological sciences. So, and even engineering sciences as well. So because of that, we have a focus, we're specialized in these areas. We develop a way of indexing information that can more accurately and more in more detail capture information that's relevant to that from the literature. So this is where the substances actually come in, right? So if I scroll down, we have substances here. Okay, so of course, this topic is more biology based. So we see simple structures. Later on, I'll have a more chemistry type of topic, and then we can see a lot more details when it comes to substances. But having said that, right, the CAS concepts. So this is our own vocabulary that we have developed to ensure that we can consistently describe information reported in different papers in a standardized way, right? So standardization is important because you want to be able to search one keyword and capture all the relevant literature and not have to worry about did I use the right term, okay? And you can see here we have definitions. These question marks would actually give you an idea what this concept means. So you can click on each of these. Sometimes they only show us the synonyms. Sometimes you have a more detailed, let me see if there's another one, more detailed definition. So it looks like maybe only the first one, okay? But in any case, you can always go into our CAS lexicon. So this is where you can view our own developed vocabulary and explore related terms, broader terms, narrower terms relevant to any of these concepts that you see here, right? So all of these have the option to view in the CAS lexicon, okay? And there's more to share with you about Scifinder and Scopus, the advantage. So I'll get to it. So let me go back here. We extract out data like this from the literature. So pharmacological data, biomarkers, ADME, formulations as well. So in this case, we have one example with a formulation, and the other one would be analysis methods. So for this type of data, you can actually view them even though you don't go to the full text, okay? So let's take a look at pharmacological data as an example. I click on it. So it will tell us which references have the data available for you to look at. Just bear in mind, as soon as I apply the filter, the AI summary is removed. To look at the details, the additional information, go into the reference detail by clicking on the title again. Okay, so here you can see we have the pharmacological data reported in this paper. Okay, in this paper, the different this is a drug, right? Oxyplatin that has been studied. This is the parameter that's measured. This is in this case, is a qualitative observation. And you can click on assay view detail to have a little bit more information on what exactly was the assay used, what was the ligand dose, what was the cell line used. So again, this is additional information that we provide to you from the full text that you wouldn't see in something like Scopus, okay? Yeah, so the only thing is, remember, once you apply the filters, any of the filters here, the AI summary will be removed. So let us look at another example. So let me clear this. You can also start the search from the top. Okay, so now I'm going to switch into a more chemistry topic. So transition metal oxo complexes for catalysis. Okay, now if I start the search on a reference page, I would immediately be shown reference results. But in this particular case, this query has actually found different types of answer sets. So if I go to the All tab, okay, you can see that there is substances found, references found, and even reactions. So depending on your answer type, the AI may match different types of answers for you, and then you can decide which one is what you're looking for, okay? But because we did the search from the top of the box this time, we were just immediately brought to the references tab. So I'm going to switch back. And in this case, I find that the answer is a little bit large than what I expect. So I click on the query interpretation. And then when I look at it, you can see in this case, the AI didn't actually do the best interpretation. It kind of inserted the or operator here, which explains the large number of answers. So like I say, don't use the search original query because this will give you even more answers. You could think about the advanced search. So this is where we have this sort of a query builder. So you can put in your keyword one by one and choose the fields that you want to search and build it with the Boolean operator options. That's one option. The other thing that you can do is think about, can I modify the query a little bit? Of course, don't change the meaning and see if it gives a better interpretation. Now, if you need some ideas on, how can I improve the interpretation, you can consider looking at the CAS concept filter because these are, as I've mentioned, vocabulary that's developed in-house, right, by CAS. So the AI is definitely well trained to recognize these keywords. Okay, so I do see here that there is a concept transition metal complexes. So maybe I should remove the oxo, shift it to the front, and search oxo transition metal complexes instead. So this doesn't change the meaning of the topic. I just change the order of the words. So this is one example of tweaking the search query. And then when I rerun the search, um, in this case, it helped to give a better interpretation. And right away, you will see, it's a much smaller answer set. And if I look at the query interpretation, it is actually searching oxo and metal complexes and catalysis. Now, it has removed the word transition. It feels metal complexes is a broader term than transition metal complexes. So it's okay. It still, at least it still makes sense. So this is how you can get a better interpretation. Okay, so try tweaking, modifying your original query a little bit. And just like before, we have the AI summary. Now you can see in this case, I do not get any key findings. So let's try and rerun the search and see if we can pull out more details from the AI summary. All right, so actually in this case, when I rerun it, I'm actually able to get 4 key findings. Okay, so just remember you can rerun a search to get more information in the AI summary. Now, going back to the concept filter, like I've mentioned, it's very useful in giving you ideas on what keywords to use in your search. It also gives you an overview of what are the important topics in the search results because I can view them by top count, right? So depending on your search topic, if it's more life sciences related, we will see concepts related to diseases, to cell lines, to different maybe biological targets, things like that, right? So this is a more chemistry topic. So we see that, okay, there's oxidation, catalyst oxidation, there is like hydroxylation. So this gives us an idea, what are the common transformations that oxo transition metal complexes can catalyze. Then from here, if I decide that, okay, I'm really interested in this particular transformation, I can choose to focus on this 76 results. So of course, like what I mentioned earlier, once I apply a filter, now I have the 76 results focused on CH activation. I don't get the summary anymore, right? So the way to get around this, right, if you have decided that I want to focus my search in a more specific area, then modify your initial query so that you can still see the new AI summary for this more specific topic. Okay, so instead of catalysis, which is more general, right? Catalysis for different types of um, reactions, I can say for catalysis of CH activation, something like that. Okay, this is an example. So I add this additional keyword in so that the new AI summary that is generated will take into consideration this more specific area that I am interested in. Okay, so let's use the text together with smile string. Um, you can search smile strings on its own, that's for sure. I haven't tried combining text and smile strings together. So yeah, this one I really haven't tried it, so I don't know yet, but maybe later on we can give it a try, okay? So let's see. Okay, this new AI summary now has the focus of CH activation reactions. And again, we have many useful key findings that's summarized for us. Okay, so just remember, if you do any filtering and you want to have a new summary focus on just that topic, rerun the search with the additional keyword added in the query. Okay. The other thing you may notice is all these visualizations here. So maybe let me go back to our previous answer set. So I've got more, a larger answer set, okay? Yeah. So these results, you can analyze results. You can actually close it so that you can view more on the page, or you can, and then you can turn it on later on if you like. Okay, so these are basically visuals that we have generated for you, largely based on the filter data over here. And not only that, they work as filters themselves. So if I'm interested to look at patterns, I can, for example, click here and you can see it starts to filter the answers to only patterns. And you can also change the different graphs have different options. You can download these visualizations into Excel or image file. You can expand it. And when you expand, you can then actually make multiple selections as well. So in this case, I'm going to pick patterns from China, from India, maybe from Korea, maybe no India, just China and Korea. Let's just keep this in. Okay, so I just randomly pick a few, hit apply. So if you expand it, you can make multiple selections and then hit apply to do the filtering. Okay, so these would be for patterns. And if you are interested in patterns, you will see that we have the pattern status information. So you can see which patterns are dead, which ones are still being enforced. And we have a filter for pattern status as well. So again, you can click on this to look at the definitions. All right. Maybe I want to focus on the alive patterns. So I select this. Now, if you are wondering why I chose alive and, this is dead, it still gives me as a hit. That's because the China and Korea patterns are still alive. So it still meets our criteria, okay, because we are interested in Chinese and Korean patterns. So these are pattern family members. You will also see that there is this pattern pack icon. So you can use this to get the full text pattern information. All right, so maybe I'll just pick this as an example. I can click here. Sorry, you can't see. Okay, and then I can pick any of these. There's quite a few available. Pick this, and you'll be able to see the full text patterns. And not only that, if there are important substances, it has the page number markup as well. So it brings you directly to the page where the specific compound is mentioned. So it saves you a lot of time from trying to figure out, is this what you're looking for? Or you can do it both ways. I'm curious how this structure looks like. It's actually this one over here, and then I can click on the structure image and run a further search or get more information. Okay, so actually another difference between Scifinder and Scopus is we do have, like you can see here, pattern information in one platform. So you can search journals and patterns at the same time. Now, if we go into the detailed view of the pattern, so let me just open this up. You will see that we have included the claims. So this is very useful, especially if the original pattern is a language that we are not familiar with. You will see that we have translated at least the claims section, so you can read it. Of course, for this particular case, there are only Chinese pattern family members, so it's all in Chinese. So the translated claims will be very useful for us. If you are interested in structures, you can even view the summary of the structures that are claimed in the pattern. So let me show you one of them, maybe this one. Okay, so in the pattern, they claim this scaffold with different substitutions. It's quite difficult to read it in patterns, so we summarize it in a nice table form so you can see very clearly what are the G1 groups, and within G1, there's G6, what are the different G6 groups. Okay, so this is for people who have a special interest in structures. Okay, so this is the visuals as well as the pattern information that you can get in Scifinder. The other interesting feature related to patterns, let me go to our homepage. Let's use this. Okay, I'll go back to my homepage. Is this prior art discovery tool. So it is designed more for people, again, looking to pattern their work. They want to find if there's anything similar that's been published before, but you could also use it as a way to just find additional relevant literature. And what is great about this is that you don't even need to limit your search to one sentence or one topic, one query. You can paste in a paragraph, and the AI algorithms we have built into this will find relevant documents for you. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, I'll just use this as an example to paste. But generally, the paragraph that you paste in should ideally describe the key point of what you're looking for or the key invention. You can add in structural information if you want. That will help the relevance ranking of your answers. And then you can just hit search. Okay, so this may take a couple of minutes. All right, so you can see it's searching. So in the interest of time, I will show you an example of an output. Okay, so I'll go to my history, prior art discovery. Okay, so this is still searching. So I have another one here related to probiotics. Okay, so let's view results. Okay, so this is what was searched. Okay, it's I think about some controlled release probiotics using biopolymers. And this is what was input, and then these are the output that the AI has found as being relevant to what we have indicated here. It will retrieve about 100 patents or and non-patent literature. So if we're not interested in patents, we can just focus on this. So it depends what you're looking for. Okay, and then you can click on the title and it will load up a preview for the reference. So it's quite nice. You can continue to browse within this page and you don't have to keep loading and reloading a page. Okay, so it will show you the paragraph, the abstract. It will also show you any substances or even the concepts. And then once you are ready to look at more detailed information, you can always go to the view reference detail. Okay, so then you can click on the next one and then review the results. Okay, so this is another option. Instead of actually putting in exactly what you want to search, you can put in a paragraph that you see in a journal article or somewhere that you've read, and then just have the AI run the search for you. So this is our prior art discovery. This is found on the homepage. All right. Now going back to our previous search. So before we look at other types of search, I just wanted to highlight a couple other things that are useful for using Scifinder. Basically, if you want to download results, we have the button here. We have different formats available. Citation is for using it in reference management software. A lot of the different file types you can choose to look at a summary or the details. And we've made it really easy for you to customize what you want to see in your report, right? Which fields you want to see. And in some cases, you can even customize the default fields. Okay, so this is also a relatively recent enhancement to make reporting more user-friendly. If you want to save your search, right, the next time I want to rerun this search with all these filters applied, I want to do it easily, then I can click on Save over here, give it a name. You can choose to save just your search strategy or the 13 results together with the search strategy. Okay, so give it a name. Maybe I'll put in oxo transition metal complexes. Okay, then I can create alerts if I want to. Just toggle this on, select my frequency, and I can add my collaborators' email in here so that they can also be notified. So you can put in other people's email here and then click save. So all your saved search strategies, you can access them again here. Okay, so this is what I just saved and it remembers the filters. So 1 month later, if I come in and I rerun the search, right, I just have to go to my saved, I click rerun search. It will apply all the filters that I've used 1 month ago, because sometimes, most of the time, we can't remember how we ran a specific search a while ago, right? So this is one way to help you save your search strategy, okay? We also have the history. So this one is just the initial search that you run, right? So all these searches we have run this morning doesn't remember any filters that you may have applied, but still very useful. And in fact, this is auto-saved for you, and you can use the calendar to retrieve searches that you have tried out in the past. Very useful. Projects is another one you can explore if you are working on multiple projects. You can organize your search results according to the project type. Let me choose one example, okay? Just click on it. You can add references, you can add substances, you can add collaborators as well. Just put in their email. Your collaborator will need to have access to Scifinder in order to see what you have added. Okay, and you can even give them editor access so that they can also contribute to your folder. Okay. All right, let me go back. And then how do you add references to projects, right? So let's take a look at that. So it's really simple. If it's just one reference, you can use the project icon here. So you can create a new project folder, or you can add it to existing ones, or even the ones that have been shared with you. Okay, if you have multiple references to add, you can select them first and use the project icon at the top to add them in. Okay, so this is the adding to projects. Okay, let's go back to our homepage again. So other than this sort of natural language search, like I mentioned in Scifinder, we have substance information, property information, right? So this is another, sorry, let me turn on the power. This is another feature that differentiates us from Scopus, right? Because we have properties information as well. Okay, so with the AI integration, you can now do a simple kind of query. Oops, sorry. Okay, you can do a simple query to find property information. So for example, if I want to find LD50, okay? So let me do LD50 perfluorodecanoic acid. So if we have the data in Scifinder, okay, you can see that we give you the answer right away. And of course, if you want to look at other details of this compound, you can click on the name, the CAS registry number, or view in detail page. So basically, what is searchable, what is able to retrieve for you would be property values like this, where we have the actual exact value in Scifinder. But you can see that we have information like this that's related to also property information, but without the value, you have to go to the full text. So this can be useful as well. At least you know which references to go to, right? So I would say if you find something and it says that this is not available, still do click into the detailed view for this compound, for the compound that you're interested in, and then check the property box for these sort of reference links, okay? So the same thing for mechanical, like all these would not be searchable. Spectra as well. If there's a hyperlink, you can search for it directly. Later on, I'll show you an example. What is classified as life science data? This is not directly searchable. So if you want to look at pharmacological data, ADME, toxicity of different compounds, you have to search for the compound, click on the name or the CAS registry number to get into this page, and then open up the different accordions here to look at the data. Okay, so this has quite a lot of information, like you can see. Okay. So the other question about, can we ask a follow-up question? So this will be more a CAS Newton feature, which I will show you later on. What I have shown so far is still the usual search and retrieve type of workflow. Okay, just that it has been enhanced with the AI to create the search string for us, and also the AI summary. But with the CAS Newton is where you will be able to actually chat and, like you say, have follow-up questions, okay? So yeah, so pharmacological data, toxicity, ADME is here. If you have examples like this where there's so much data, make use of the filters at the top. So you can pick which targets you want to look at, what type of data you want to look at. Similarly for ADME as well. Okay, different types of ADME data. Use this to help you find the data more quickly because it can be many, many pages of data. Okay, let's go back to the home page again. So other types of search that you can do directly, you can search for like hazards of BPA. Then we will show you the hazards information. Okay, if you want to look for supplier information, then you can say things like where to buy BPA. Okay, and then we will show you the suppliers. You can also search for cost of a reagent, right? So say cost of BPA. I'm just using PV as the chemical. It can be any reagent that you're interested in. We'll give you a kind of an estimated pricing and supplier information. You can also search for, as I've mentioned, spectra, right? So in this case, look for IR spectra of BPA. Okay, and then if the spectra is available, we will actually show you the spectra right away. But remember, even if it says not available, no spectra is available, still go into the detailed view for the substance detailed page and check the spectra section. Because, for example, like UV vis, right? No spectra will be available if you search it directly, but then you can look for the reference links to get UV spectra. Okay, now going back to the question on follow-up, whether we can ask follow-up questions. So like I mentioned, this will be more a CAS Newton feature. Let me show you an example of CAS Newton. So this is not in your account yet. Okay, you have to wait till early April before it's rolled out, but I still wanted to, it still be useful to show you so that you can, once it's out there, you can start using it. So for example, I can go directly in here and ask a question. Okay. And in fact, you can ask it in Thai as well. So, all right, so this is, because it does take a while for the answer to generate. So let me show you what I have done, okay? So this is just looking for bioactivity of fused tricyclic naphthalene lactones, okay? Then from here, you can put in a more specific question. Now let me see whether I have, so maybe I can say, can you give me more information on, okay, let me just take a look at this. Or maybe, for example, I look at this and I see, well, it has these bioactivity highlights, but I don't see the citations for it, right? So maybe I can say, can you provide citations for structure, activity, relationships? Okay, then this will be a follow-up question to what was presented to us. So like I said, it will take a little bit of time to show. So let's let it run. This is an example of something that I've tried asking in Thai. So I'm not sure if this is accurate because I just use Google Translate. But you can see that it is able to then understand it, give an output also in Thai. Okay, so you could definitely try it in your local language. Let me see if this is done. Yeah, it's still ongoing. So we can come back and check this later on. Let me open another tab. And what is nice about the Newton is that, so this particular example that I use, right? When I search bioactivity of fused tricyclic naphthalene lactones, NAPH, THA, naphthalene lactones. So, case it didn't find any reference, and it's because of the choice of keywords I used. Somehow it limited it. So if I go to references, yeah, okay, it says no reference results found. So in situations like this, right, if you try your own queries and you encounter something like this, or maybe it only gives you, like, you run your own search and it only gives you one reference, it's too little, then you can definitely just switch to Newton. And as you can see earlier on, it was actually able to get quite a lot of information. Okay, so it broadens the search for you. So you don't have to think yourself like, okay, maybe bioactivity is the wrong keyword. Should I use activity to broaden my search? Okay, it has the follow-up information. So I said, can you provide citations for structure-activity relationships? And then you can see here, it now kind of breaks it down and lists the references where it has the key findings. Okay, and then it summarizes at the end the citations that it used to get that information that we saw in the earlier part. All right. So the follow-up question, definitely for it's a Newton, it'll be a Newton feature to try that out. Okay. Up and coming, early Q2. All right. The other type of query that you can now do with the AI integration is the reaction type, right? So for those of us who do synthesis, we typically would do it by structures. But now with the AI enhancement, you can do quite a lot of reaction type searching just by text. Okay, so example, I can do something like reactions catalyzed by nickel oxide. So this used to be something that you need to do it by structure and then figure out how to filter it down to nickel oxide. But now I can get reaction answers with a broad search like this. Okay. Okay, so it finds different reactions catalyzed by nickel oxide, and we can view all the reactions. Or something like N-alkylation of emites, so a general type of transformation, but then I have specific criteria like it has to be done only in water as a solvent, and it needs to have a yield of greater than 90%. Okay, so a combination of generic search, but with specific reaction condition requirements. So this is also possible now with the AI enhancement. Okay, so these are emites that have been alkylated, done in water with a yield greater than 90%. So for reaction information, let me just load up. You will see that, okay, let me back up again. You'll see that this is actually 400 over 1,000 results, right? But when I load the reactions, it only shows me 224. And later on, there will be the option to load all results. So don't load all results unless you want to expand this, because the 224 will be the ones that match our criteria here exactly. Then if you feel like that's not enough, you want to expand it, then you can click on this, but it will mean that some of the criteria will not be matched. Maybe the yield will be less than 90. Maybe it's done in other solvent. Maybe it's not an emite anymore, it's an amite. Okay, so if you want exactly what you've searched for, do not click on this, just focus on what is shown to you when you first load up the results. Okay, so this is for reaction searching. And then very quickly in the last few minutes, again, this is for people who are doing synthesis and interested in reactions. We have also enhanced our retrosynthetic analysis. So let me quickly pull out an example. The enhancement is more in the background. We make it a lot quicker now for these plans to be generated, so the user can easily make changes and see the impact of that search. Okay, so I just have to click start and it will help to plan a synthesis. Works for novel or known compounds. So you can see the plan is generated for us, tells us how to synthesize this. Green means it's a predicted step. Hasn't been done in the literature before, but the AI predicts it as a possible strategy to get to this, okay? We can change the cost functionality. So right now, the study material is $158. Maybe we want to reduce it to under $100. I just change the studying material cost, hit apply, and then very quickly it will look for cheaper starting materials. Generally, it would mean a longer synthesis, as we can see here. Okay, but the starting material cost is reduced. And then if we find that the yield is too low, then we can take a look at this plan here, because this is not the only option. It's just one of the many options. The plan has fine, but it's just showing us what it thinks is the best. So if we don't think this is good enough, we can, let's say this is only 50%, right? So let me go in and take a look at what other options I have for this step. Okay, so this is the literature evidence for this, because this has been reported in the literature. And these are other alternatives I can consider if I don't like this strategy. Let me pick something that's higher yielding, like 88%. I replace it, and it's already been replaced. So now the yield has increased, and I think the cost either remain the same or in fact it has gone down even further. Okay, so this is the enhancement for the retrosynthesis. It's more in the background. It's a lot quicker now. So you can very easily tweak the yield, tweak the cost, and help you build a cost-efficient and high-yielding synthetic route. Okay, so we have about a couple of minutes left. I just wanted to leave it to the audience to see if there are further questions. Me see if there are any other questions. Okay. Reference role. So thank you for the question. So the reference role in this case is the role of the compound as it is how it is used in the publication. So nothing to do with FDA. Okay. So let's say if we let me maybe search for the drug diclofenac, right? Diclofenac. Okay, I have the substance here, and then if I click on the references, this role is how diclofenac has been used in the different publications. So sometimes it's been studied for its pharmacological activity, sometimes it's being studied for its synthesis, sometimes for its adverse effects or pharmacokinetics. So it's not the FDA approval. So that type of information, if you are interested, it's actually in a separate database, but this requires a separate subscription. I will let you know the name, so maybe you can look it up and see if it's useful. No, it doesn't link to Campbell, or what's the other one that you mentioned? No, it doesn't link to that. We do have a separate database called Biofinder. So in here, you actually be able to see clinical trials information. You'll be able to see which drugs are, which substances are approved drugs. Maybe let me just quickly go into it. We actually had a trial for this last year for Mahidol. So definitely we are open to giving it a trial again. The chat assistant is already in, so I can ask questions like this. Show me the most recent clinical trial ongoing with Enhertu. You can ask questions about pathways, about diseases, and things like that. So this will be a more relevant database for the question that you just asked me. Okay, but like I say, this is a separate subscription. It's not part of the Scifinder subscription. But we're happy to you know introduce this to Mahidol Library again, maybe for another trial and see how it goes. Okay.